Hi, everyone. For those who I haven't met yet, my name's Angie Schick. I am the Executive Director here at New Ventures BC. And with me here is also Liz Boel. She works on pretty much all the programs I throw at her here at New Ventures BC and is just here to help me manage things here. So the purpose of this session is to primarily talk about the annual New Ventures BC competition presented by Innovate BC. So I will just take you through a little bit about what the competition's about, what you might expect, some FAQs. I also have Mark Abdahan here. He's a past participant in the program, so he'll just speak for a few minutes about kind of his experience and his thoughts on if it's worth doing and when in your startup journey. And I'll also tell you a little bit about some other programs that are happening that New Ventures is involved with. And of course, if you have questions, drop them in the chat and we will answer them as they go. And yeah, feel free to say hello, like James just did in the chat too. Okay, so New Ventures BC, who are we? We're a nonprofit organization and we run several programs, but we're most known for our annual startup competition. And this is the 23rd year we've run the competition. And it is BC's largest startup competition, probably potentially Canada's largest startup competition too. And it's only here in BC. So we're fortunate to be able to run it, and we hope all the BC startups enjoy it as well. So in addition to the competition, we also run an accelerator program and several other related programs. So I'll kind of get into that as well. But over the past 23 years, we've been able to support over 3,000 startups. They've created lots of jobs, lots of financing, and the overall objective of this competition is to grow the BC tech ecosystem and the economy and to support startups on their journey. So it is a competition and there are winners at the end of the day, but we do try to design this competition to be a journey. Our hope is that it's going to help you no matter how far you go in some way or form. So that can come in a few different ways. Like I said, there is, of course, the cash prizes, $250,000 in cash and prizes. That is non-dilutive prizing, thanks to our sponsors, primarily Innovate BC, who is Provincial Crown Corp, our title sponsor. We also have a whole whack of education seminars, which are starting next week. And they'll be going basically regularly through from next week all the way. There'll be something going on till June. So I'll talk a bit more about that. It's also networking opportunities for you to grow your network, meet people. It's very hard to measure these things, but I always will hear stories once in a while from founders saying, I went to your event, I found my advisor, I found my co-founder. So it's, we try to just bring the community together. Lots of access points for mentorship. And also feedback. So I'll typically say this is a great way for you to get feedback from people who don't need to be nice to you. Not that they're going to be mean to you, but you're going to get honest feedback from people who don't know you, right? So they don't necessarily have a similar lens that maybe your friends and family might. And for those that go further along in the competition, recognition and exposure. So typically the way I'll go through how the competition works, but once you get to the later stages of the competition, it's great sense of exposure and accomplishment. Because if you've gotten past several rounds of this competition, you've gone through a bit of rigor, you've gone through jury rounds, you've got some credibility in the forms of investors. Suddenly you'll find people want to talk to you. They want to know who you are. You get to receive calls rather than you always having to give the calls. So that's another kind of nice part of it. So that's kind of the competition. If you get to the very end, it's about a 6-month process. And then there's gates kind of between now and October when the competition ends. Other parts of the year during the competition and when the competition's not on, we also do run other programs. So some of the ones that will be happening for sure this year, we have the Discovery Foundation Mosaic Accelerator. This one's a little bit different. It's for tech-enabled women founders, particularly we have a lot of founders who have really interesting tech ideas, but they don't necessarily have a technical background. And that isn't necessarily a reason not to create the company. So this is an accelerator designed for this specific type of founder. So if that's you, definitely look that up. We also have our market validation training program, and we're doing this in partnership with SFE Venture Labs. Dave Thomas from Venture Labs is here today. Hey, Dave. And some other accelerators here in the province, including Viatech in Victoria and HubSpace in Prince George, among others. So that is a 6-month program designed for you if you're looking for product market fit, if you're trying to work through, the validate your business idea. So there's a whole bunch of different training options for that. I'm not going to get into it here because there's an info session right after this, if that sounds of interest. But we're involved with that along with SFE Venture Labs and others. And then coming up soon, we'll be announcing it shortly, will be a digital marketing and sales accelerator program. And these will be for companies in revenue who want to really focus on sales and growing a scalable revenue model. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Back to the competition now. So back to in-person events. This was our award ceremony last year. We did it at UBC Robson Square. Look at everyone so happy. But this is before we announce the winners, maybe. So anyway, that's where you get to. But first, we have to do all of this. So I'm not going to go through this in super detail, but basically the competition is 4.5 rounds. So we always start off with about 180 to 200 companies that apply. Essentially, if you're eligible for the competition, eligibility is BC based, less than 5 years old, typically. It's tech company, then you qualify. And then through each round, we just ask you to do a little bit more. So from round 1 to round 2, you complete a 5-page submission and a video pitch that gets judged. Then the field gets condensed down to 40, and there's some pitching involved. And the field gets condensed down to 25. And there's another written submission involved. And then the field gets condensed down to 10. And then final round pitches and winners. So throughout each round, you get different types of supports. There's always typically seminars, some jury feedback, mentoring, networking opportunities, and pitch practice. So with each round, there's just slightly different offerings with each section. So just to break some of it up a little bit. So what we always enjoy delivering every year in the spring is our education offerings. So we typically do 20 to 30 hours of startup education. It's always free it's part of the competition, but it's also just free for tech startups and students. So if you are just interested, maybe you're not sure about the competition yet, you can still attend all of our events and all of our education and just learn. So a few that I'll highlight that are coming up. Is it next week already? Oh my gosh, it is. So yeah, next Tuesday is our kickoff event. So it'll be part seminar and part networking event. So you can attend just the seminar, or you can attend just the networking, or you can attend both. And this is a new speaker and topic for us, building a fundable startup. So that'll be the topic for that. April 4th is a session with last year's winners, in case you're curious about their journeys. And then April 15th and beyond is when we really start getting into the nuts and bolts of startup education. So the first one is April 15th. That's a Saturday. We call these startup sprints all day Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can stay for the whole day. You can drop in, you can drop out. And these are several topics, and we bring in a lot of speakers to cover off a lot of both things that you might need to answer for the competition, but also just good best practices for startups and founding a company as well. And the first topic of that day is product market fit, which actually, this was not planned, but yes, Dave Thomas is actually the speaker for that as well. So there you go. He's one of our long-time volunteers and supporters and partners. Mentorship, again, broken up. It varies depending on the round. So if you go into the earlier rounds and you don't advance, we do give you the opportunity to sign up for a 1 hour or 45-minute mentor session to kind of go through your submission, get some ideas on what you could do next time. If you advance a little further, you get access to some pitch coaching from our partners at Volition, who are a startup advisory firm. Top 25, then you're going to get personal mentors assigned to you, as well as I think I have mentor panel here. So that's kind of like a practice pitch. So you get to practice your pitch in front of 5 or 6 mentors, and they'll give you their constructive feedback kind of on the spot. And it's like a dress rehearsal to like the real deal pitch. So it's kind of good practice. Who are the mentors? They are, we try to get a really good diverse group, but typically they're either going to be entrepreneurs who have raised money, entrepreneurs who have have built companies, either corporate finance experts or what we call deep domain experience. So if someone's got a lot of experience in, sales for tech or product development for tech, something, relevant to all of you so they can support you. Prizes. So like I said, $250,000 in cash and prizes. The top 3 prizes are supported by Innovate BC, Crown Agency for the BC Tech ecosystem. New this year, we have the $10,000 Leap to the Cloud prize. So that's supported by National Bank of Canada, and it will be going to the top SaaS software company. So it's our first time we've been able to offer a sector-specific prize for software companies, and I'm pretty excited about that because we often have a lot of interesting software companies. So that just got finalized recently. And then down here I have 2022 prizes. This is what we had last year. So we still have a few more prizes we're finalizing with Innovate BC, our sponsor. It's looking like they are going to be the same, but it might change. But last year it was $10,000 for a sustainability focused prize, regional startup prize, so located, headquartered outside of urban areas, and then a women-led venture prize. Okay, so just another picture. Here's last year's winner, Stay. So if you win, you get the big check, you get the big trophy, and everyone looks happy. I'm not going to read these off, but again, lots of, we're very pleased and happy to be part of the journey of lots of tech startups. We're just one stop in the journey, but we hope we're a notable stop, and we're really happy to be part of the the success story of lots of these companies. Okay, hey, here's Mark. So full disclosure, Mark, in addition to having a startup, he's also runs a creative agency that New Ventures BC works with. So that said, he's not here because I'm paying him to be here. He's here. I asked him to be here as a past competitor. So Flash Forest has been in the competition twice. They've been to the top 10, I think, twice. Never won. So I always like to get the perspective of companies that have been through the competition and can talk about their experience, whether they want a prize or not. So I'm just going to give Mark the floor for a few minutes to just share whatever you'd like. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Angie, thank you. So great to see a lot of familiar faces here, but also to those that I haven't seen before. Great to meet you. Angie did a good introduction. My name is Mark Abduhan. I work in Flash Forest, or started with innovation and business development, and it's the first and largest drone reforestation company. We entered New Ventures BC during the pandemic, so that was a very interesting time back in 2020.
And those, spicy, yeah.
Pardon me?
Oh, I think someone's just not muted. Keep going.
Oh, okay. And also just in general, it was very early in my entrepreneurial journey. So I wrote down a couple of things just to take note. I had a wonderful experience with New Ventures BC, and I encourage for those of you that have never entered the competition to take a chance or get involved where possible, no matter how small or different your startup may be. So for my end, the prize was largely the motivating factor, but the pleasant surprise was the connections made with local entrepreneurs, as well as the mentors. Fast forward 3 years later, my involvement with New Ventures BC and my connections with the mentors continue to this day, some of them being a part of our board in Flash Forest. So Flash Forest has just closed our Series A, and wow. It essentially starting from nothing, a successful Kickstarter. And I also encourage some concurrent meetings with the mentors, because that's largely one of the things that solidified our relationship. So although we didn't win the prize, which was the large motivating factor, a lot of great outcomes came out. And also some of our mentors ended up investing in Flash Forest. So those are some great things to consider when applying.
All right, thanks, Mark. Anything else, or is that's good?
I have a few more, but so I also encourage getting involved with New Venture BC's other accelerator programs. There's a few that I was just curious, so I entered. And being early in my entrepreneurial journey, that essentially gave me some of the tools in order to move ahead with Flash Forests. And hopefully we'll continue with our journey in scaling reforestation. But the support is there with New Ventures BC, and it's something I hugely encourage. That's about it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna get you to stick around for the Q&A because sometimes I find a company answering the questions is more helpful. Remember Udi Down did it with me a couple years ago from Donna, and yeah, he had lots of interesting points that I didn't even think of. So it's great to have a company with me for the Q&A. And just one point of clarification is Mark's agency now works for me now, but not while he was in the competition, which would be a conflict of interest, clearly. So okay, so but in addition to Mark, again, you can hear from all last year's top 3 on April 4th. Innovate BC is our title sponsor, and they're doing a kind of a interview fireside chat style virtual session, just to hear from everyone in their startup journey. So it won't just be about the competition, which is one small part. It's more about their entire startup journey. So I will be there. Look forward to hearing with their updates as well. Okay, so just some quick FAQs, checking my time here. We're good. So entry fee, there is a $200 entry fee to go through the competition process. This just goes towards us operating, administering everything. It's per company. If you enter and we tell you you're not eligible, we will refund you your $200. But if you enter and go through the competition, then the fee is used. But we're never going to say, oh, you're not eligible, or keep your money. We will, if you're not eligible, we will refund your money. And again, the fee goes towards the competition, but the events are all free. So again, you're open to attend all those or have everyone attend those. Eligibility, I think I mentioned this in passing, but just to reiterate, BC-based company raised less than $1 million in non-grant financing. Be doing something novel, some form of tech element, and less than 5 years old. So sometimes we will have exceptions to the less than 5 years old rule. Typically a company that's maybe been around for more than 5 years, but they're doing a very substantial pivot. So it's basically a completely different company. We will often exempt those. We often get consulting companies that have been consulting for 10 plus years, but now they have a product they want to launch and spin out of their company. We will also exempt those. Those are kind of our 2 most common exemptions. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to chat through your situation. Registration process. So you go to our website, newventuresbc.com. It's an online form. There's a few key questions that we get to know about your company, so we can have an idea of where to place you, what sector you're in. There's also a whole bunch of just general questions for us to learn about you, and this is information we collect. We keep it to ourselves, but it is also information that Innovate BC, our lead partner, likes to know as well. So I apologize. There's lots of kind of demographic questions, but it's all done for good reasons. Stage of venture. So this can really range. Like, of course, you need to be within the eligibility guidelines. We do get idea stage ventures. Majority of companies are pre-revenue, I'd say, but we do have companies with some revenue. We do have companies that have raised some money. It really does vary. The objective of this competition is to find company with a large market that has a compelling solution to an existing problem, and the market is big, the opportunity is big. I don't think I've seen any type of correlation between, say, more advanced and winning all the time. think it really depends on how well you've presented your idea, how well you've presented your plan, and there's a lot of different factors for sure. So we get a very, very large range, but it's all within those eligibility criteria that I mentioned. So why enter? Should I enter this year? I think we've kind of covered that in terms of some of the discussion already. So maybe I'll leave that one off, other than people often enter for various reasons, and I think it just depends on what works for you. And it's not all, it's about timing. Some years it's going to be good for you, some years maybe it won't be. So typical reasons we get are, of course, people want to win the prize money. Of course, people want to get exposure recognition. Other things, we had one company enter, and they actually ended up doing very well. They entered because they actually wanted the exposure because it would help them recruit more quality staff and advisors, because it kind of gave them some extra credibility to do that. We also have others who just literally want the deadlines. They want to work through a lot of the questions on our entry form because they know it's going to help their business. We try to make sure the questions are things that you need to figure out for your own anyway. And they just want the deadline. That's fair. That's all good. And then we also have a lot of people who want to enter because they want to learn something, they want to get some feedback, they want to do the networking, get access to mentorship, and hopefully the sum of that is going to be you're going to improve your company in some shape or form along the way. How much work will this be? Again, it depends on how far you go, but the first round after the application form is a 5-page submission, answering about 9 questions, I believe, and then an optional 60-second video pitch. So at minimum, that's what you have to do. You might, if you've been pitching already for investment, or if you've entered other competitions, you're probably going to already have the answer to some of these questions. If this is all new to you, then it probably will take you some time. And like everything, what you put in is kind of what you put out as well. So it can vary for sure. And what makes a winning venture? I think I already mentioned this. So like I said, real problem, you have a compelling solution, you've got a well thought out and large market and opportunity to leverage all of that. Yeah, let's see what else. Okay, so I think that's it for now. I will just say thank you again. I've mentioned Innovate BC, our lead sponsor, gold sponsors. These are why we can do a lot of these events free, because we have best sponsors. So EY, Fasken, SFU Beauty School, UBC Cider School, National Bank, silver sponsors, Vantech, TELUS Ventures, Volition, lots and lots of bronze sponsors, media sponsors. So we have a wonderful community behind us as well. Any questions? You can get a hold of us this way. And I'll leave here. These are just a whole bunch of different actions coming up, including competition deadline, April 11th, 5:00 p.m. and some events coming up. And again, happening in 5 minutes will be the market validation training info session. Deadlines are due March 23rd. If you're not sure what they are, then I think Liz is going to put the link to the Zoom. And if you've got a few minutes, hop on over. I'll first see if there's any questions. And if we don't have any questions, then if Dave's still around, I'll ask him to talk about the MBT. But first, any questions? You can either unmute yourself or just put them in the chat.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Hi. So I kind of have a question regarding eligibility.
Yep.
So I have an early stage startup, EcoMobile, and our mission is to drive sustainable transportation in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
So essentially, we operate in Africa, but we're based here. Do we qualify as a competitor?
You should, yeah. You can. I mean, yeah. A lot of people will have their will have their market or their product being used outside of the world. But yeah, the idea is if you're kind of headquartered here, that's kind of the main part. So if it sounds like you are, then yeah, that would qualify.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I already registered this startup competition.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I will go to the Seoul, Korea for business trip on March 28th. So can I join the through the via Google meeting or I want
No,
to,
that one's unfortunately just in person. We will try our best to stream the seminar, but everything else will be in person.
so in person. So I have some staff, they can join the seminar, right?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's
I think
it.
Celeste, yeah, no problem. I think Celeste had her hand up.
Hi. I was just wondering what's the product readiness? What stage of the actual product should we enter the competition?
Again, that can vary depending on the product. We often have people in alpha or beta, so that's quite common. Doesn't have to be fully developed. But generally you want to have I would say relatively good idea of what you want to be creating. Is it software or what is your product?
It's like a food product, but because it's made with cellular agriculture and biotechnology, we're far away from that already. Like we're just putting it together. Obviously, any funding would help us.
Of course, yeah.
But
so if it's like a well thought out, like you've got a plan, you have understanding of what you need to make, and we often will have life science companies or biotech companies. It is going to be slightly longer runway to having it in market. So that's fine. It's really just a matter of how you present the opportunity and the story, and if you have either partnerships or what you're doing to kind of get your product in development. But we certainly do have a wide range of companies who are at that stage.
And then just to follow on, is it stackable? Because we're applying for Ontario Genomics, NSERC, and NRC grants. Is it stackable?
Is it, sorry, what?
Is this stackable? Can we get this funding even if we already got funding?
Oh, yeah. Because this is just, it's prize money. So if you win the prize, it's yours. There's no, strings attached to it, so to speak, other than we hope you spend it to build your company in British Columbia.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Angie, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, okay.
About eligibility, raising more than $1 million.
Yeah, so maybe let us know what, just send us an email with kind of what that raise is, and then we can take a look. Typically, if there's grants in there, then that would be, there's probably an exception there. But if it's all raised from like angel investors or institutional investment, then you're probably not eligible. But maybe just send us a note and we can figure it out. So just send us contact at innovateBC.com. I'll just type that in here, and that goes to me. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Okay, so we are recording this, and we will post that for anyone who may have missed it. If you've got a question that came up after we sign off, that's okay. Just send us a note here. All these will come to us, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, deadline is April 11th, 5 p.m. But if you're not sure, then please come to our kickoff event next week, March 28th. So that will be networking in person. It's a great way to meet a lot of the mentors that volunteer with the competition. They often are there. So it's just a great way to meet kind of the community. A lot of our sponsors are there. A lot of fellow competitors or prospective are there. So, it should be just a nice, good way. Come have a drink and some food and chat with some interesting people. And we can answer any of your questions in person there as well. So hope to see you there. Otherwise, I hope if you join the competition that I'll talk to you soon. And if you want to join any of our events, again, they're free for everybody. So please join us to whatever topics make sense for you. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. Liz, so market validation training, this is kind of supplemental training if you want to work on building your company. So that session is going on, led by SFU Venture Labs right now. So we'll put that link in there if you want to jump over to that. That's where we're going. Otherwise, I wish everyone a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.